Hi, I'm Emma Carroll, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a project that I worked on last year when I was working as an intern for the information services at Edinburgh University. In this project, I was working on trying to geolocate the places of residence for the accused witches of Scotland. This project was working with the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database, which is a database that contains all of the recorded historical information about accused witches in Scotland at a time when it was illegal. The database was created by historians at the University of Edinburgh and has information about over 3,000 accused witches in Scotland. Within the dataset, there's over 300 fields of information, and there's lots of different pieces of information in it, including geographical data. The geographical data includes information about their place of residence, their place of trial, their place of death, and this information is all recorded within the database. However, many of the places no longer exist as current places that you can find in Scotland today, as place names have changed over time. And so a lot of the places that are mentioned within the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database are yet to have actually been located. So for this project, I was working on being able to locate the places of residence and plot them on a map. So for actually finding the places of residence, I used a website called Wikidata to try and add all of the information together. Wikidata is a sister organisation of Wikipedia, and it's really similar in the way that it's open source. Anyone can edit it. However, it's linking pieces of data together rather than writing large bulks of text. So for example, each of the accused witches have a page on Wikidata, and pieces of data can then be connected to the accused witch, such as the name of the accused witch, and connected to them is the place of residence for them. So to start with this, I was going through Wikidata and seeing which of the places that are recorded within the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database have previously been geographically located and are added on Wikidata. I found that some of the large towns and cities were already located on Wikidata. However, there were over 500 places that were recorded within the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database for the accused witches' places of residence that had yet to be actually geographically located. So the next step in the project was for me to work on trying to find these places of residence that had not previously been geolocated. So how I did that was I used a mix of historical sources. I had a lot of help at the start of the project from different historians and academics that were able to help me start with the place name finding. And I used a range of historical sources, including the Ordnance Survey 1890 maps, the Scottish Atlas, the Pont maps, along with modern maps as well. And for this, I used the data for the places of residence that was within the dataset, and this contained information about the accused witches' settlement, their parish, their presbytery, and their county. So I was able to use all of these places as clues to help find the place of residence. And that was really useful for when I was using the different historical sources. I found that the Ordnance Survey 1890 map was the most useful for trying to find these places, as it is digitised and online, so you can access it anywhere on the National Scottish Library website. So I was able to look at these maps while I was in the office, and I could try and work on being able to locate the different places. Along with this, the 1890 maps at that time, many of the places that might not be found on modern maps today were still recorded on these maps. So although it was a few hundred years later than when the accused witches were alive, a lot of the places were still mentioned on the maps, so it made the location finding a lot easier. I also used some different historical records. I enjoyed using the Scottish Gazetteers. They came in useful when I was searching through them, along with different place name books. And so the location finding ended up being quite a fun process where I was trying to hunt down the different places. And in the end, I was able to find about 400 of the places out of the 500 that I started with. So that was really useful. However, there was about 100 of the places that were still really hard to find places, and I really struggled with being able to locate these places. So at that point, I decided to seek some help from different academics that knew a lot of information about historical places. So I went and got some help from the Scottish Place Name Society. I visited the Scottish Studies Archive. I also contacted place name experts, along with getting help from the historians that created the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database too. In the end, it was decided that it would be best to round some of the missing places to their parish area, as many of the parishes were still quite small, so it was a way that we could still locate their place of residence, even if it wasn't exactly the most accurate place. It was still better than not having the accused witches recorded on the map at all. And the other places we were able to locate with help from the different academics. In the end, there's 25 places that are yet to have been located. So if you have an interest in place names, then you're welcome to have a look at this list. It can be found on the Witches website. And if you have any information about any of the places, then you can let me know and we can get them added onto the website as well to ensure that these witches have the most accurate place name as possible. Aside from being able to locate the places of residence for the accused witches, I also worked on adding other pieces of information from the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database, such as their location for trial, detainment, confession and death locations for the different accused witches. These datasets weren't as large as the one for their place of residence. However, there was still a lot of information there, and I spent some time trying to locate these places too. It was really good to be able to locate these places aside from their place of residence, as it helped to build a story about each of the accused witches, and you could see their movement along the map. So for example, in this image that you can see here that's taken from one of our maps, it is linking the place of residence for the accused witch to their place of death. And so that's a good way to see the movement of how the accused witches moved during this time, during the witch trials. And I also added some of the temporal data, which contained information about when the case date was, so that we can understand when each of the trials took place and see when the number of accused witches changed. Aside from that, we also have information about the people associated with the trials, and these people also have their places of residence recorded within the dataset. This is another really large dataset. I think there's around 2,000 people associated with the trials. So if you know any information about this and want to help with the project, then you can contact us and we can try and get started on this as well. Aside from that, once we'd been able to locate all these places, the next step was to be able to create the maps. The map making part of the project was really fun, and we were really lucky that in the Information Services department there is a range of different people that work there with different backgrounds. So we were able to get help from graphic designers and software developers to be able to create the website that we have that contains all of the different maps, and they were able to help make some of the different visualizations for the maps and make them as interesting as possible. And I think that that's been really good, because although all that information had then been collected, without really interesting maps, I don't think the website would have got as much attention as what it did. So here's some of the maps here. The software developers created a lot of the maps, and I also worked on creating some of the maps as well, along with different people that were involved in the project that works with different pieces of the data. So these ones here show the places of accused for the accused witches, for the residents. And this is a map of John Kincaid, one of the famous witch prickers, and where each of his trials were and a story behind that. This is the map here linking the place of residence to the place of death for the accused witches. And this map here is showing the different parishes from, this is the 1900 parishes, was the oldest we could find, and the parish areas for the number of accused witches in each area. So in the end, we were able to locate 3,141 residencies for the accused witches, along with other pieces of information. All of this information is also documented in weekly blog posts, so you can go back and read that if you're interested in helping with the project in any way or doing a similar project yourself. So aside from that, I can then go on and show you the website. If you've not checked out the website, you should definitely have a look. There's a lot of good information on it, and you can learn a lot. Every time I go back and visit the website, I can find information about new accused witches, and there's just so much to learn. It's really interesting. I've just zoomed in on Edinburgh here, and this is an example for Janet Boyman, and you can see that her residence is here in Cowgate. And then there's information about how she died, her investigation date in 1570, and her gender. Then for this example here, she has a Wikipedia page, so you can click here and it will then automatically take you on to their Wikipedia page here. And for the Wikipedia page, you can then read all the information about them, and there's also the option to add your own information if you are able to have different information about it from other sources as well. When it comes to the Wikipedia pages, there isn't that many that are created for the accused witches, so it'd be really useful for us to get more of these pages created for the different accused witches, just to help build their stories and get more awareness from the public. So that's one of the examples there, and then you can then zoom out onto the map and really just go wherever you want to be. One I wanted to show was just one of the cool things about the website, I think, is that you can then see a lot about accused witches that perhaps you didn't know of before. So I'd just been playing around with the website and zooming in on different places earlier today. I came across this place here, Newton Stewart, and when I clicked on it, it's within the parish of Penningham. And when I clicked on it here, I didn't know anything about this area at all. I saw information about Jean Brown, and I thought this sounded like quite an interesting story. So when I clicked on more info, which then takes you on to the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database page, it then takes you on to their page here. This was an accused witch that I didn't know any information about before, and without the website, I don't think I would have automatically looked at this area or been interested. However, when I went on the website and had a look on the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database and clicked on the case details, I then started seeing that there was a lot of really interesting information about this accused witch, how this person has been in contact with spirits for the past 16 years, and how there's all these different pieces of information with it. And so I just thought this was a really good example of how the website can be used to find stories about different accused witches that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily have known about before. Also, I saw that later on there's a talk about witchcraft in Coinning, which is near where I'm from. So when I went onto the website here and then clicked on Coinning, you can then see the different investigation dates and learn about the different accused witches. And when the investigation dates are close together, in some cases it means that all of the investigations are together. And that's just quite interesting as well. So I really hope that you enjoyed learning about how the Witches website was created and about the different locations of the accused witches. If you have any questions about it, please get in touch and I will be happy to help as well. Thank you.